What's up, guys? As you have noticed, I'm not in my car for the first time in these videos. I spend so much fucking time in that car. But we're going to do something a little different than my usual videos. Today we're going to give my opinion on a video that one of my favorite YouTubers did. Sargon of Akkad recently put out the parallels between Rome and the United States. And I just wanted to give a response and give my opinions about that. Before we get started, this isn't a usual response video that you would see where the two sides are completely not in agreement and they just roast the living hell out of each other. That's not the case. Sargon I listen to almost every single day at work. I do data entry for 8 fucking hours a day. And he makes me laugh so fucking much during those boring hours, So this is coming from a fan of his, and I agree with like 90% of what he says in his videos. That's why I haven't made a response video to his videos yet, because I agree with almost everything he says, but not this particular one, so let's get started. So for the first 3 minutes of the video, Sargon accurately describes the similarities between the Roman Republic and the United States. Totally don't have a problem with that. He makes the parallels. He highlights the parallels well. Until about the 3-minute mark, he says this.
And new figureheads arise, in the form of Gaius Gracchus in Rome and Donald J. Trump in the United States.
No, Donald Trump is not a populist reformer. He is the exact opposite of that. Donald Trump is the personification of the 1%. The oligarchy that you accurately described in the Roman Republic and the United States, the ones that control all the wealth, all the power, and abuse the other 99% of the lower class, like me, who are struggling to fucking make a living. Trump is the face of that oligarchy. He was born in a family of millionaires. His idea of hardship is only getting to build 3 casinos a year, not 4. He has no idea. The problems that ordinary Americans like me face day to day, he has no idea. In fact, he regards us lower class people with contempt. He thinks that we're stupid because we're poor, because if we're smart, we'd be rich like him, because he's just so fucking smart. He is not a populist. He is not popular with the people. He's popular with some Americans. But you look at the disapproval rates for both Hillary Clinton and Donald J. Trump, they are record highs for both candidates. A vast majority of Americans hate their guts. And when you say reform, well, I guess it depends on the exact definition of reform it's using. If you're using reform as just any change, then yeah, I guess he is a reformer. He will bring about change. But if it's not good change, change is not either good nor bad 100% of the time. It's just different. So if using reform as policies, changes to the rules, changes the way things are made, that will help the situation, that will improve the situation, that will solve the problems that we have in this country, then no, he is not a reformer. He wants to change the rules to benefit his 1%, as every single 1%er president has done over the years. Bush did it, Obama did it, Clinton did it, Bush Sr. did it, just every single one of them. They do not give a flying shit about the lower class like us, who just struggle to make a living, struggle to put food on the table, struggle to put gas in the tank. They don't give a flying fuck about us. Otherwise, they would implement policies that help us, but they don't. They cater to their biggest donors. Trump wants to change the rules and keep the rules that allow his business to flourish so much, that allow him to dodge on taxes, that allow him to crash his company, move the wealth somewhere else, and screw the rest of the workers while he's perfectly fine. He wants to continue to do that. That is not a definition of a populist reformer. Now, what I think the Gaius Gracchus of today is Gary Johnson. I haven't heard you talk about him too much. One of your videos you did say that you don't really identify with any major party in the U.S., but if you had to pick one, it would be libertarianism. So I'm surprised you haven't talked about Gary Johnson too much, because if there is a populist reformer that is in this election, is Gary Johnson. Now, he isn't very popular with most of the people, but he is rising in the poll numbers. His the Libertarian Party has never done so good because people are so disgusted with the two-party system. They realize it's the complete fucking sham. They just toss power between one party and the next, keep on doing the same policies. Obama is George Bush 2.0. Clinton is Obama 2.0. I mean, it's just the same thing over and over again. In fact, I did another videos, two videos, describing the similarities, 10 policies that are the same between Clinton and Trump. They are so similar in the huge policies that affect so many people around the world. Okay, so back to Gary Johnson. So he is the one that wants to make reform that will help the ordinary Americans because he came from an ordinary American family. He did a door-to-door handyman job in college and built it to a multi-million-dollar company. He knows what it's like to start from the very bottom and go to the very top. Donald Trump, he knows how to start from high and then go to very high. I mean, so the experiences these two men have is completely different. And he knows what economic policies need to be in place to help this weak economy, to help grow back the middle class, because the middle class just fell down to the poor and impoverished. Not just economic policies, but almost every single policy. He knows what needs to be done to fix this problem of the oligarchy screwing over everyone else that you accurately described, in the first couple of minutes of your video. But the problem is the Americans don't want that. They want comforting lies versus inconvenient truths. This country has been out of control with spending, with overregulation, with all these wars we're getting into, all of this massive spending. And it's fun. It's fun to buy all these things and rack up all debt. No, I won't pay for it. I'll just put it on the tab. The $20 trillion debt that we have. And Gary Johnson's actually the responsible politician who's coming in and saying, actually, guys, we need to stop fucking spending so much goddamn money. Otherwise, we're going to default on our debts and the economy's going to crash even more than 2008. He wants to know we can't attack every other country that pisses us off, and that's how we're in 100+ wars all over the globe, causing so much devastation. He's a responsible candidate. It's coming in saying, no, we can't. We have to stop doing this. We have to stop doing this. We need to do this, this, and that. The people don't like it. How, like the kids, the unruly kids the bratty kids who are just wrecking the place, and the parent comes in and says, nope, you got to stop. You can stop doing these things. And the kids are like, no, you're not cool. You're not fun. You're not a good parent. So there is some difference in this election versus the Roman Republic because the person who has the ideas that will work in this election is not being listened to. He's polling anywhere from 6 to 15% in different states, but that's nothing compared to Clinton and Trump because, unfortunately, most Americans are fucking idiots. I think me and you disagree on the average person in the world. I think you would say that the average person is semi-intelligent and not racist at all. I would say, unfortunately, that's not the case. In my experiences, most people are completely fucking retarded and are ignorant, bigoted, racist. And I'm using those terms like you use the terms, not how social justice warriors or feminists use those terms. That's just my experience. I've talked to many different people all across the country, all across the world, actually, because there's lots of people from around the world that live around here, and they have no idea. You tell them a policy that will objectively help them, and they won't want to do it because it's tough. They want the one that feels good. That's why they go for Clinton and Trump. Gary Johnson is the only governor who actually had a surplus. He got rid of the debts in his state that he governed, which was New Mexico. He ended with a surplus. He got rid of the debts. He deregulated all these parts of the economy so people could actually start businesses, get jobs, stuff like that. He has a proven track record of doing what needs to be done in this country. And Clinton and Trump, we'll just focus on Trump because this is the comparison that you made. Trump has a proven record of serving the oligarchy, of not serving the common man, screwing over the ordinary worker. So that's where I would disagree with you in your comparisons. Trump is not the populist reformer that you're looking for. It's Gary Johnson. I'll leave links in my video below on the issues that will show all of his different stances on all the different issues, as well as the videos that I mentioned before that show that Trump and Clinton have the same policies on lots of policies. So if you're looking for someone different than Clinton, Trump is not your person.
Welcome to the stage for your civil war, America. I wonder who your Marius and Sulla will be. This is all the product of political forces, which in themselves are a product of people's interests. Power politics does not change, only the pieces on the board change. There is a real need for what Trump is offering.
No, there is absolutely no need for what Trump is offering in this country. We do not need fascism in this country. Trump is a textbook fascist. If you look at his rise and what he wants and what Mussolini in Italy before World War II, what they wanted, strikingly similarities. You know, in the videos I did describing his policy, he wants to give tax breaks for the rich. He wants to continue to have the corporate tax loophole so he can go through this loophole, pay no taxes on billions and billions of profits. Meanwhile, me, poor shit, I have to pay a combination of local tax, state tax, federal tax, and Social Security. I have to pay 25% or more of my entire income goes to taxes, and I make jack shit. While Trump, who makes billions and billions of profits, he uses his loophole and doesn't pay anything. No, there's no need for that at all. Either no one pays taxes or everyone pays some sort of taxes. You can have one rule for the 1% and one rule for everyone else. He wants to escalate the war in the Middle East. He wants to bomb the hell out of ISIS. He says that phrase like 70 fucking times. He wants to go after them just like we did in Iraq and Afghanistan. You know, just go in the troops by the thousands to kill all those Muslims. And it's just like, have you not learned from what happened in Afghanistan and Iraq? I did a whole video on that also, why I support Gary Johnson's non-interventionist policy. Trump wants to continue mistakes that Obama and Bush did. There's no need for that at all. There's no need for trillions upon trillions of dollars in military spending to fund his military goals. There's no need to continue the war on drugs, which heavily affects the poor and minorities more than anyone else. He wants to continue to do that. He supports the Patriot Act, the NDA, which takes almost all of our rights away and allows the government to put us in secret military detention facilities where we have no access to a lawyer or public trial, a trial by our peers. Like, he wants to tear up the Bill of Rights. It's almost every single right we have. Freedom of expression, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, the Second Amendment. He's all said that in his speeches and his policy presentations. Those elementary, retarded presentations. His policy presentation sounds like a fucking second grader talking. He wants to throw away almost all the Bill of Rights and continue the horrible policies that Obama and Bush have done. He's like, no, there is no need for that. There is a need for Gary Johnson's policies, where he wants to close all the military bases and bring all the troops home so they can spend time with their families instead of fighting dictators' wars for them. He wants to get rid of all the government red tape that is choking this economy, that makes it so hard to get a job or to run a business, to start a business from scratch. You have to go through all this government red tape, you know, just strangle certain jobs in the economy like teachers and firemen and police officers, where there's just so much regulation that it's so hard. And you wonder why there's a shortage of teachers in this country. There is a need to get rid of the debt so we don't default on our loans and we actually have a surplus so we can actually get rid of the debt. And Gary Johnson's proposing that by getting rid of wasteful spending, by getting rid of unconstitutional programs and departments that are just costing us billions and billions of dollars. He wants to get rid of foreign aid, which is surprisingly Trump wants to get rid of foreign aid too. But at the same time, I cannot trust anything that Donald Trump says at all. He's a habitual liar. He lies and contradicts himself, sometimes in the same sense. I mean, that takes skill. That takes so much political skill to contradict yourself in the same fucking sentence multiple times. You know, he wants to give tax breaks for the rich. He wants to raise taxes on the rich. He wants to raise taxes on the poor. He wants to lower taxes on the poor. Which one fucking is it? It can't be both. You know, so there is no need for a person to occupy the White House who I do not trust at all. I do not trust anything that comes out of that man's mouth. He's fundamentally dishonest. He lies all the fucking time. There's no need for a president like that. Gary Johnson, as far as I'm aware, has never lied. When someone asks him a question, he doesn't know what it is. He says, I don't know what it is. You know, his words reflect his actions. Trump's does not do that. He says he wants to make America great again. No, he wants to make America like 1930s, 1940s Italy. That's what he wants to fucking do. Gary Johnson says, I want to run my libertarian campaign just like this. This is my track record. My vocal statements, you know, my statements I give out to media and stuff, they support what I've done in the past. Makes perfect fucking sense.
And there is real resistance to this from the powers that be. Your republic is unstable because it has become an oligarchy, just as had the Roman Republic. The system has been perverted, and it is not working as intended. It needs reform, and that need for reform is not going to go away.
I absolutely agree. I agree that the U.S. is an oligarchy, and it's running how it wasn't designed. It's running how it's not supposed to. I absolutely agree, but Trump is not going to fix that. He's going to continue the problem.
I want to see a strong, liberal, English-speaking democracy holding the reins of world power. I think it is best for everyone that America stay in control and ensures that countries with a history of autocracy and tyranny do not get to call the shots.
I'm not sure what speaking English has anything to do with running the world better than another country that doesn't speak English, but I think that has to do with your opinion. I think you stated in an earlier video that you believe some cultures are better than others, so therefore I think what you mean is that English-speaking cultures are better than other cultures, and therefore that's why you want a country that speaks English to run the world. I disagree with that, but that is a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. It's way out of the scope of this video. Bottom line, I don't want the U.S. calling the shots in the world. You said it's better for everyone if the U.S. calls the shots. I mean, come on, Sargon. Just look around the world and look at the destruction that America has wrought upon every single corner of the globe. I mean, we're in 100+ wars. That's just mind-boggling. That we are in so many wars, killing so many innocent people and propping up so many horrible governments. I mean, that's, again, sort of outside the scope of this video. But I just don't know how you could take a look at the world, how it is right now, and say that, yeah, the U.S. should keep doing what it's doing, because it's just, there's just so much suffering around the entire world. People are being killed and tortured and imprisoned, their rights being taken away to further the whims and the wants of the 1% that control the U.S. I don't want anyone to be in charge. I don't want anyone to call the shots. I wish everyone would just mind their own fucking business and not feel like they have to invade every other country or prop up every other dictator to get oil or gas or something. It's just, but again, it's outside the scope of this video, and really a topic for another time. But no, I don't agree that the U.S. should call the shots, and it's definitely not good for everyone. You wonder why our disapproval rating across the world, like the majority of the world, hates us? Because we cause so much suffering.
But now the United States is on that very path. This concerns me greatly, and the best way to prevent this from happening is to allow the populist reformer to do their work. Dangers to liberal democracy will always be waiting in the wings, and it's important that liberal democracies preserve their social cohesion, and this isn't happening for many reasons, and I think one of the main causes for all of this is the economic status of the haves versus the have-nots. I've provided further reading for all of this in the sources in the description.
So I know this is roughly halfway through his video, but we're going to cut the commentary here because, one, I'm running pretty high on my limit since I am not a popular monetized channel. I can't go very high above 15-16 minutes. And because most of the other video, again, I agree with. Any other points that I would make, I've already made, so I don't want to repeat myself ad nauseum again and again and again. Like he said the populist reformer should be able to do his work. I totally agree. I totally agree that Gary Johnson should go to the Oval Office and do what he needs to do to fix his country, but it's just not going to happen. I know he's not going to win. And no matter who wins, Trump or Clinton, we are so royally screwed over here. It's just, there's nothing I can do about it. So I try not to let it affect me too much, but it's just depressing that the last 8 years have been very hard, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. I agree that democracy should be able to maintain those social cohesions, and the differences between the haves and the have-nots is making a huge problem in this country. Again, totally agree. it's a prop to the oligarchy that the 1% has gained. I think it's above 95% of the wealth accumulated since 2008. So the 99% of Americans who aren't in the 1%, we have seen little to no economic rising at all. The middle class has evaporated. Most people are in the lower or impoverished at this point. There are hardly any people in the middle class, and then again 1% is only 1%. So I totally agree that this is what's causing the problem in this country. But again, like I said before, I don't want to beat myself too much, but Trump is not going to fix these problems. Gary Johnson would, but he's not going to get elected.